Welcome to Real Estate Real World, where we talk to the movers, shakers, and leaders that are getting it done right now in the real estate industry and beyond. I'm your host, Marguerite Crespillo, and I started this podcast simply dedicated to calling people about what's really happening in this crazy roller coaster ride of real estate. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes and stay up to date on the newest stuff by adding yourself to the list at www.realestaterealworld.com. Now, let's dive into the world of real estate. Hello, everybody. It's Marguerite Crespillo, and here I am. We're doing another fabulous episode of Real Estate Real World, where we get to talk to all the cool people, including some of them that are my very good friends that I've known for a long time. And today we have a very special guest that I don't even know how long I've known her, but I feel like I've known her forever, even if I haven't known her as long as I say. But today we have Liz Andersen, a Rockland resident since 1988. She's been a key player in the reverse mortgage industry for over 14 years. With a strong background in business development and marketing, she's been instrumental in the growth of American Pacific Reverse Mortgage Group. Liz is passionate about educating both professionals and clients, always prioritizing community involvement and treating her clients like family. Recognized by her peers, she is named Affiliate of the Year by both the Sacramento and Placer County Associations of Realtors. Outside of work, Liz enjoys beach outings, concerts, and family time. She's also fluent in Spanish. So welcome, my beautiful friend, Liz.
Thank you. I'm super excited and honored to be on your podcast. So I was like waiting and I'm finally on it. Thank you.
I'm thrilled you're here. And I'm cracking up because behind you, you have your Happy Birthday, Liz board that your amazing husband, who I think lots of people are jealous of, it made for you for your birthday. And why don't you tell us quickly what it is?
So it's really, can I pan it? Can I pan over to it?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay. He threw me a 50th birthday party, which you were here for. And he made this amazing board for me of all the people that have been instrumental in my life, from childhood friends like kindergarten all the way to my work people. And he put a picture of the 100 people that he invited to the birthday party and their boards. And it was really hard to put these and just put them away in the garage because they are very special to me. And so that's what my backdrop is. I didn't know where to put it.
I love it. And I'm cracking up too because I know you're a dog mom and you have your two amazing dogs. And I thought you might appreciate this. Look who sits behind me during all my podcasts. My little dog, Rue.
Okay, that's mine are sitting.
She literally sits right. She comes in and she sits there at the bottom and she like stares at me until I pick her up and put her behind my seat in the chair. So I have about this much space on this chair because she's sitting behind me. So there you go.
That was the life of COVID for me too.
Yeah, exactly. Liz, so what I want to talk about a few things, but I definitely want to talk a little bit about the reverse mortgage because I think there's so many misnomers, lack of communication, misunderstandings, things that people don't really understand. And I hear it almost daily. And what I have to tell you that I love that you did years ago, I remember when you did this, is you actually changed your name on your social media to say Liz Reverse. I don't know exactly what it says.
Liz hyphenated reverse, which it was for the purpose that people would recognize that I did reverse mortgage. And what really ended up happening is that people actually think that that is my hyphenated last name. Oh, are you Liz Andersen Reversey? And I was all, oh, really? Is that how you pronounce it? So my marketing tact worked, even though it wasn't intended to be that.
And why I love to bring that up is because I teach a great class called Get Rich in Your Niche, right? Where you can focus in one area. And we'll tag that on this podcast so people can go check out that recording. But I remember talking to you a little bit about it because when you focus on one area of business and people now associate you with that, it it changes the way you do business. Don't you agree?
Absolutely. Absolutely. My phone rings every day for one reason or another regarding reverse. Actually, somebody from your team I spoke to yesterday, and it's
Yay.
just anything reverse. It's not, it doesn't have to be a transaction. It's, I have a client who has a current reverse on it. We're going to get ready to list. I don't know what to do.
Right.
I love that. It's never a waste of my time to help as best I can or direct people as to what they need to do in certain situations regarding reverse as best I know, because we're not on that end of the transaction, but certainly we have enough information to lead people the right direction.
And I know personally, not only have I, referred my good friend Ron to you, who I adore, but also I've had people call me with some of the craziest questions about reverse mortgages. And I'm like, all I can think of is I know who to call. I don't know the answer, but I know who can get me the answer. Because we had two situations. We had one where you might want to explain this. When people get a reverse mortgage, it's required that they stay in the home and that they also have to pay their own taxes and insurance.
So there's four things, and actually that was the call that I got yesterday from somebody on your team. They're getting ready to list a home, but they got a notice of foreclosure. So she's like, "Why would this happen? There's no payment. Why are they getting this notice?" So when you're working with a reverse mortgage client and you're doing all the things, the loan application, you're doing the consultation, and you're educating them about, here's what you have available and here are your options, and then here are the things that you have to abide by in order for that reverse mortgage to remain in place and continue to work for the client. So, four things that the borrower must do and comply with in order for foreclosure not to begin. Like you said, they must live in it as their primary residence. So, they can't move out and rent it. Now, if they wanted to, they could rent a room out and get extra additional income every month, but they not be in the property as their primary residence. So that's the
Okay.
first. Must pay property taxes, homeowners insurance, any other property fees like HOAs on time. We don't want that to lapse. So that's super important. And that's something that I myself hammer down with the client over and over throughout the time that we are at escrow, and even before that, because you got to give them all the information. And then, last but not least, maintain the property in fair condition. Just like any other property that you're going to live in, it is an FHA loan. Property condition counts. If something major breaks, you need to fix it. You need to property again in fair condition. If you comply with those things, and then anything else that comes about while the client is in the reverse mortgage, I always tell my past clients, if you have any questions about anything you get in the mail that changes on a reverse mortgage, because every now and then there are some changes, call me. I'll get you up to date on what to do and how to proceed. But yes, that's this is for requirements.
So it seems a couple things seem to happen. Number one, people that are not using you for reverse mortgage, which they should, I don't feel like they're educating them that much about those items because I'm hearing this more frequently. Maybe it's because I'm getting older. I'm getting around more people my age, but I'm hearing this more about issues with this because we had one where she had gotten behind on her taxes, the client did, and she was not understanding what was happening and she was getting notices from the bank and she wasn't clear. She's like, "No, they pay my taxes for me." I'm like, "I don't think they do." And it had not been explained. Maybe it had been and she didn't comprehend it. But regardless, she got a year behind on her taxes and they started sending her foreclosure notices.
Yeah.
And so they were able to, I think, help her out financially by maybe pulling some money out of I don't remember what they did, but
Let me share with you what some of those possible options are that they will do. So, if you have a client that enters into a reverse mortgage, and one of the options that they have for funds and how to use them is to establish a line of credit. And I think that's a really good feature of the reverse mortgage, is to be able to put some funds aside in the line of credit, especially for where we are now, economic
yeah.
times that we're in. But not only that, it gives you that bucket of money to ensure that you'll be able to have funds to pay those property taxes and homeowners insurance, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
what they will do if they do not pay the property taxes and the homeowners insurance, they go behind, is that they will take funds from that line of credit and pay them for the borrower. But here's the thing, not everybody has enough funds to set aside for things like that and use the
Right.
line of credit. Sometimes they just have enough funds available for them to eliminate a principal and interest payment, which is a huge, right now, it could be a huge financial benefit to the borrower that they just do that and not have a principal and interest payment. And it helps tremendously. But the added benefit is to establish a line of credit with some of those funds so that later on down the line, when things come up, like those property fees, you're able to take money from that bucket of money to pay them. And I will say, I sat with a client last week and he's, why should I use you? And I'm like, okay, you should, first of all, know that I'm here, I'm local, I'm here before, during, and after the transaction. So when things come about, I'm not your typical call center, which a lot of the big name companies that are out there, they have call centers. They have huge turnover. I think that's where the message gets lost about what the important things that you need to know and continue to do while you have a reverse mortgage in place. People watch commercials and they're like, I saw Tom Selleck and can't work with Tom Selleck, but you can work with me. Okay, they tell all those people that you call when you call one of those numbers are giving you as much information as they are given. And if they're turning over quickly, then maybe they don't have the experience to know that you have to hammer that in and you have to let the borrower understand, hey, if you don't do that, the house can go into foreclosure. So I agree. There just isn't enough of us giving the most and best education for the borrower to make a good decision for themselves to see if this is the route they want to go.
And then issues start to come up. I'm sure you see this a lot where the family, the children, the heirs get involved. And then they're like, oh, but I had a situation where the gal had gotten a reverse mortgage like 12 years ago or 15, like maybe 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And she had 12 children. And for some reason, those children all thought she owned her home free and clear. And they're like, "She doesn't have a mortgage payment, so she doesn't have a loan against it." And I'm like, let's go over this." And they're like, "Well,
Sure.
somebody scammed her. How did she do that?" And I said, "She was 20 years ago. She was in her, late 60s and it made sense for her. And she hasn't had a mortgage payment in 20 years. She used the equity in her home to live." So it's really the whole family dynamic. And a lot of families like, "Oh, absolutely. You can't use a reverse mortgage. It's going to steal all your equity." So maybe give us a little bit of a overview of what a reverse mortgage actually is.
So a reverse, and I will tell you right now, it is one of the things that we combat from time to time. And most of the time, it's for selfish reasons. It's because the heirs usually say, that's my inheritance. No, I don't want to pay a reverse mortgage. And I've sat at a table with people where the client actually said, okay, here's the deal. I'm $500 in the hole every month. And my savings is almost gone. So I'm not going to sign the paperwork to do a reverse mortgage. I'm just going to go to you at the beginning of every month and ask you for $500. Right.
Mm,
And what? So it changes the dynamic of what needs to be done and how the borrower should use and leverage the asset of their home to be able to have a quality of life.
yeah,
I always ask when the kids are not there, have your kids helped you make a mortgage payment all these
right.
years? It is about quality of life. My parents did a reverse mortgage for different reasons, and it worked really well for them. And they're able to pay it off once they sold their business. So keep that in mind. It's not, it's, I always tell the borrower, you need to make a decision for yourself, not so much so for your children anymore. They're grown, they
Right.
have jobs, let them fend for themselves, and you do what's going to be best for you. But to answer your question, so what is a reverse mortgage? So a reverse mortgage is a loan that allows a borrower who's either 55, because we have some programs that have gone down in age. It used to be age 60. So there's programs for age 55 or 62 and older, and allows a borrower to access a percentage of equity in their home and never have a principal and interest payment moving forward. So they're able to get a loan, and that loan could be used to pay off an existing mortgage, get rid of their payment, or they can purchase a home. So people don't know about this feature. Purchase a home, put down a substantial down payment, and live in the home without principal and interest payment. So the goal is always to never have a principal and interest payment. That is what a reverse mortgage is.
And so that money, is it like an annuity or something like that where the money is basically set aside in an account? How help me understand a little bit more about how that works.
Okay, so on a refinance, like a traditional reverse mortgage, so what it is, I'm going to share and do an example of somebody that doesn't have a whole lot of mortgage balance currently on a mortgage, right? So let's say right
Okay.
now you have a client who maybe owes 50,000 on their mortgage, but they need to access equity in funds. We do the calculation on how we get to a loan amount is based off of the youngest borrower who's going to be on the reverse mortgage, the value of the home, and the current interest rate. You plug that into the software and it's going to say your borrower, for example, has 200,000 in loan amount to utilize. The first thing we have to do is pay off the 50,000 that is owed on the previous mortgage. So that makes the
Okay.
interest payment go away. So if their payment is $1,200, they are freeing up $1,200 a month available to them. Then they have this additional 150,000 that they have access to. So depending on the loan program, the adjustable program allows the borrower to either take a lump sum at closing, which paying off a mortgage, by the way, is considered a lump sum payment. But they, let's say they need a new car and they're like, I need 25,000. I got to go get a new car. So they're able to distribute funds in a lump sum, or if they need additional monthly income or payment, we call it, because they're not getting taxed on these funds, they can access a monthly payment that goes directly into their bank account every month. Or if they don't need those funds, they can establish within the reverse mortgage a line of credit or a combination of all of those three options. So it's just a line of credit that doesn't accrue interest on it because you haven't used those funds. So whatever funds you use,
Mm.
the 50,000 gets accrued interest, but the money that sits in the line of credit does not accrue interest. It actually has a really unique feature that's called the growth. So whatever the rate is currently, plus another half of a percent, that money in the line of credit grows for you at that higher rate. So some
Oh, wow.
people call it interest. It's not interest, it's growth in our, let's say, terminology. So the longer you leave the money in the line of credit and you don't use it, it compounds on itself with that growth accumulating on top of it. So 10 years down the line, you may not have 150,000. You'll probably have close to upwards of 300,000 in that line of credit to use on whatever you want as needed. And let's face it, when you're getting older, you're needing more medical care, you're needing possibly in home care, or you're paying for a spouse that is now living in a living facility, and that's not cheap. That line of credit option feature is really a wonderful feature for people that just want to leverage the equity in their home. It's amazing.
And something that I picked up while you were explaining that is the fact that you're not having to pay taxes on it.
Tax free funds because it's
So, because if I had to go and put money in an IRA,
yep,
right? When I pull that money out of the IRA, I'm now paying taxes on it.
causes a
But
taxable. Yeah.
wow,
First,
I don't think I even knew that part.
yeah, it's amazing because it's not earned income, it's loan proceeds.
Okay.
So you're not getting a 1099 at the end of the year. So It's a really good feature that people in our industry just, like I said, there aren't enough of us to be able to explain the features and
Right.
the about it. I think people are still very stuck in what it used to be. But I have been on this little trend where, hey, let's talk about the modern reverse mortgage. It's not your grandma and grandpa's reverse mortgage like it used to be. And let's
Right.
show, because there's so many seniors in this economy, and social security and what they get as their percentage that they get a little bit more of every year isn't combating inflation.
And I can't even tell you how many people I drove for Meals on Wheels for several years, and I know that you see this, how many people, these seniors are really struggling, especially now with everything so expensive, to just get food.
Yeah.
And yet they own this home free and clear because that's what they were taught. Own your home, pay your home off, which is great. But eh, here you are living in next to homeless type scenario at a poverty level when you have several $100,000 possibly sitting in your home, and you're not able to tap into it because you can't really qualify for a normal loan if you're living off of social security or whatever that is.
And you just touched on something. It is much easier to qualify for a reverse mortgage than it is for a traditional loan because we qualify differently. People will try to go get a HELOC because they need to access equity from their home, and they're like, I don't qualify. And therefore, they think they won't qualify for any other loan, including a reverse mortgage. And it's very different in our niche of the industry as to how we qualify. I just also think that's a huge issue that we have, that people think, if I don't qualify for a HELOC, then I'm not going to be able to qualify for a reverse mortgage. Just let's put it out there. It's very different. We don't deal with ratios, but we don't even look at FICOs. We're not FICO driven. So there's a few things that are different about the way that we income and credit qualify. So when people are on just Social Security, sometimes it totally works. If they have a lot of debt, sometimes it doesn't. So it just takes a little bit of footwork to get that done and see if they actually qualify.
What's interesting is I think I'm going to actually send this podcast out to my real estate database because I normally don't send them out because they're just about the real estate industry. But there's so much value in this conversation right now that I know I didn't know.
Mhm.
And if I didn't know, I guarantee my thousands of clients don't really realize either what the opportunities and what the potential is for being able to do something like this.
And I think I've shared with you, if not, I would like to take this time to share. So reverse mortgages, like I said, are not what they used to be. My dad did a reverse mortgage, and he did it for a completely different reason. And he was also the first one to say, when I got into this industry, what kind of shady business are you working in
Mhm.
that like a house payment? Like that makes no sense to me. You're working for a mortgage company, but you don't make a house payment. I don't get it. And so fast forward a few years after I started working here, he had always owned investment properties. He was a business owner for over 35 years. You'd been to the restaurant, you know.
Casa Baeza in Truckee, it's one of the best around.
He owned the restaurant for almost 35 years. And in that time, he always had investment properties. In the downturn of the market in 2008, he got into a car with a realtor and wanted to go look at all of these foreclosed properties that were out there. And so he gets in the car, he comes back, and he says, I put an offer in on a house. And I'm like, that's great. Have you got pre qualified for a loan? The answer was no. And I'm like, let me tell you, I'm in the lending industry, and it's really hard to lend money right now. Not only that, it's really hard to lend on somebody that is self employed.
Self-employed.
I'm just going to tell you right now, I don't know that this is going to fly. I have good credit. I have 20% down. It's going to be fine. And I'm like, you're not in the lending industry. I said, send over your tax returns and I'll get them over to a traditional loan officer and see what they can do. So I send it over. A day goes by. The lender comes back and they're like, yeah, your dad doesn't qualify for a loan at all. Have you seen all his write offs? And I'm like, surprise. So he'd already put a deposit down. So he's okay. Now what do I do? And I said, I don't know. I don't think you're going to have luck getting a loan right now. So he goes, he lives in Truckee, so it's a very small town. The bank that he did all his banking was right next door, so they knew him really well, and he'd gotten loans there before. So he goes, I'm just going to go next door. They know me well, and I'll get a loan there. He calls me like 3 days later, and he's, I didn't get a loan. I can't get a loan. And I'm like, I told you. So my sister calls me and she says, have you talked to Dad about doing a reverse mortgage? And I said, I am not bringing that up. I already know what he thinks about this niche of the industry. So she goes, I'm going to call him and put it out there. So he calls me and we're having a family meeting. Bring over the package. I want your sister, your mom, and you. Let's sit down and hash it out and see what it looks like. His example at the time, his house was worth 675,000. And this was in the downturn of the market, but he owned it free and clear. And he had about 50% of equity available to him at that time based off of where the rates were and their ages and all of that. So he had about 350ish available to him to do the reverse mortgage. So that's how much he could take out because it only allows you to borrow a percentage of equity, not all of it. The house that he had put the offer on was 180,000. He took out 180,000 from the funds that were available to him. He left the remaining funds in the line of credit so he could have growth and have money accumulate if he needed that later on down the line. So he bought the house cash. He bought the house cash. He had no payment on the investment property because he bought it cash. He had no payment on the home that he did the reverse mortgage on because it's no payment on the owner occupied that he's living in. And then fast forward 6 years ago, he sold that house. He bought it for 180. He sold it for 430.
Wow.
How much
Yeah.
money did? And here's the really cool thing. He always wanted to get a traditional loan in the first place. You can make payments on a reverse mortgage without penalty. So he wanted to keep the balance down on the reverse mortgage. You're able to do that at any point in time. Plus, he had this little extra safety net. When he sold the business, he ended up paying off the reverse mortgage completely,
Right.
and it turned out a win for him. So you can buy a second
Wow.
home. You can buy property. You can build an ADU and have this additional income coming in by leveraging the asset, which is your home.
And if you think, I'm sure that the other part of that story is the investment property he bought, he had to have been getting rental income or something from that, right?
It,
So that
I,
rental income effectively was paying that payment that he didn't have to pay. He could have just used that
right.
to live on or buy something else, or but so he was generating income on that investment property too.
I believe at the time it was about 2,200 a month for that property. And the interest that was accumulating on the balance that he used wasn't even close to what that payment was.
Of
So,
course not. Right.
yeah. And then his value in the home that he lives in now, where he took out the reverse mortgage and eventually paid it off. We saw what the market did between 2008 and now. Look at how high values have gone up.
Crazy.
He, this was one of the first times that we're like, wow, my own family member is using this for ways and reasons that we never even thought would be able to utilize by using a reverse mortgage.
Are there loan limits? Is it like within FHA guidelines? What is the max loan amount you can get on a reverse mortgage?
Okay, so since it's age driven, it's a sliding scale depending on rate and age. But on the FHA reverse mortgage, which is the most widely utilized reverse mortgage out there, the highest value we can use to calculate a loan amount is 1,149,825. So
Okay.
the value cap that we can use. But now there are what we call proprietary reverse mortgages, which are more like conventional reverse mortgages because they're not under the FHA umbrella, which go up to values up to 10 million and loan amounts up to 4 million.
Wow.
So it's changed a lot. There are a lot of loan programs out there. We have right now the most recent one that came out. I think this is a game changer and it's just starting to gain traction. So there is reverse mortgage second. Okay. So we know that in 2020 and between 2020 and 2022, let's just say before rates started going up, we all got this incredible interest rate, right? Of under 3%. Who wants to get rid of that? A reverse mortgage second comes into play when you don't want to get rid of that first mortgage because the rate is so low, but you still have equity that you can possibly access with the reverse mortgage second and not have a payment on it.
Wow. So many options. With that higher loan amount, a few clients popped into my head. I'm like, because I have one who wants to sell their house in up in Incline up there
Oh, yeah.
because they don't want the mortgage payment anymore. They're trying to figure out some options on that. And I'm like, now I'm going to call them and say, hey, why don't you need to talk to Liz about a reverse mortgage?
Yeah. Let's see what the numbers
Right.
look like. We'll tell you there is a difference. There's a caveat to that because it's not FHA. So there's no with a reverse mortgage, there's FHA insurance associated with it. And rates are lower. When you do the conventional or the proprietary that we call it, there's no mortgage insurance because there's no FA, it's not FHA, but the rates are a tad bit higher. So something to be
Yeah.
aware of. Fees
Yeah.
higher. Can't have your cake and eat it too, right?
Exactly. Exactly. So do you do any like classes or workshops or like Zooms or anything about this kind of stuff?
Actually, I do have a class coming up at my office location next week. It's on the 2nd, I believe, and it is from 12 to 1 at 3000 Lava Ridge Court. But I do these for teams, for team meetings. I am open to doing any kind of revert. I do it for consumers, but mostly my business has come from doing this for 15 years, is just educating and teaching realtors how to utilize it, how to recognize it for their clients, but most of all, the purchase. We talked about the purchase is that how can you as a realtor gain another transaction or two throughout the year because about the purchase. And in recent research, and I'm always doing, okay, what are seniors doing? What are they up to? So they're the ones that have, first of all, the most equity in their home, right? So they've paid it
Right.
off, they have a really low balance, and they're either moving up, moving down, or relocating. We've seen the exodus of California in the last few years. They're selling something here and going somewhere else, and they're able to use a reverse purchase to relocate and have no payment. So, my goal has always been how can I give value to our real estate community so that they can get more deals and learn about this really cool tool and it helps everyone. Yes.
So that's a quick question. Can you only do these in California or can you do them anywhere in the United States?
Okay. So, myself, I'm only licensed in California, but my local team here have licenses across the country. There's only two states
Okay.
that we're in, and that's New Jersey. I can never remember the other one, but we're
Okay.
licensed across the country. And you know, a lot of people on my team actually used to work with them in the past. So I work with a
Right.
really established team, very knowledgeable. We've been in this industry, all of us, for a really long time. We don't have high turnover. We're a small but mighty group in my office.
Yeah, you are. You guys are amazing. You're amazing. Okay, so as we wrap up today, I want to hear some sort of let's talk a little bit about some fun fact. I know that one of yours and Scott's favorite things to do are to go to concerts and attend music events. So my quick question to you is who are your top 3 artists that you have seen perform that your favorites?
You already know who my favorite.
I love Pink too. She's one of my all-time favorites. I think I told you I met her years ago. And maybe I never told this story. I'll tell it real quick. So Joe and I and our friends Bill and Diane were in Vegas and Joe had gotten tickets for us to go see Pink. And this is early when she was early on. It was a small venue and they had another like hard rock band before her, which I didn't like at all. It was like punk rock type band. Anyway, so we go to her concert. We're outside standing in line. We were at the Palms. We were going to go up to the Ghost Bar, if you guys are familiar with the Ghost
Wow.
Bar.
You're
And
like,
so way back, right? I think it was like maybe 2006 or 7. It was a long time ago.
oh, really?
So we're in this line to get into the Ghost Bar. And a couple of the gals that were in the punk rock band ahead of time came up and started talking to my friend Diane. And they are like, hey, are you guys going to the party? And Diane's like, sure, we are. So they're like, come with us. So we end up getting our whole group and we follow these gals from the prior band to there was a private party room upstairs in behind the ghost bar. And we're in there, and my husband Joe, who's a character like your husband Scott. So
I love
the people start going, Joe starts talking to these gals about something, finds out like where they're from and where they live and all that. Meanwhile, I go up to the bar and I'm standing at the bar waiting for a drink, and Pink walks out and she's standing right next to me to order. And I look at her and she's really short too. She's only 5'1" or 2 or something. And she didn't have her heels on now. So she was super short. And I look over, I'm like, hey. And she goes, hey. And I said, hey, great concert, by the way. She goes, thank you. She goes, are you here to celebrate? And I go, yeah, we're here for our anniversary. She goes, happy anniversary. Can I buy you a drink? I'm like, sure, you can. So I get a drink. Of course, I didn't take any pictures. I'm mad at myself. Take no pictures. Grab my drink. I walk back. In the meantime, security is doing a sweep of the room to see if everybody that's in there is legitimate, right? And they walk up to Joe and they're like, do you know, are you here with the party? Or Joe goes, oh, yeah, I know. And she's from Colorado and I'm here. And he's totally bluffing. He basically, all the information he'd gotten from the prior band, he's given to the security guy. And the guy's like, all right, you guys are fine. And let us stay in the private party. So we got to hang out in this private party room with Pink and all these. It was epic. It was so much fun.
Sure.
And we didn't stay a whole long because pretty soon after that, they started clearing people out. But it was pretty cool. She's super sweet.
Yes. So I just love that. First of all, I love her music and all the messaging that she sings about. But I
Yeah.
also like her concert. She's very inspiring. She's very inclusive. And I think in the world that we live in now, it's super important to make everybody feel loved and be seen. So
Agreed.
she's definitely my number one. We have seen her, I think, in the last 12 months, 3 times already. So yeah, we're like a little bit of addicted to her. At least I am.
The groupies.
And then I would say my second, so it's funny because I'm like, what is it with these musicians that I like that he doesn't have it anymore, but he used to. I am a huge Eminem fan. He's got,
Oh, yeah. He's
yes,
making a comeback like no other.
his comeback. His hair is not blonde anymore. Pink and him have the same hairstyle. Scott's, what is it with you and this like short blonde hair look that you know you're, but no, I love him. I saw him back when I was in, I think, my late 20s 3 times. And I'm really hoping that he does a world tour now that he's
World
got
tour.
album out. It's amazing. And I would say my third one that I wasn't even gonna think that it was gonna be a big deal is that we got to see Prince 2 months before he passed away.
Oh, he's my favorite. I saw him twice. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen him twice as
he-
well.
I would say those are my top three, but God, we've seen so many and we continue to like put people on our people to see before we can't see them anymore. And they're like, we've seen Elton
No.
John and like some of those big ones that are possibly older, but everybody knows who they are. So we
Yeah.
do those. And then this year we got to do some that I wasn't really like looking forward to do. But then when we went, I was like super, super surprised at the caliber of musicians that are up and coming that are just spectacular. Yeah, we
Yeah.
love that's for sure. That's where
Yeah, I
that's
loved the collaboration that Eminem did with Jelly Roll.
oh my God. Oh my gosh. The
So good.
that are coming out now too with it's funny because I've called it this before, but all of a sudden I did hear the terminology on TV the other day. I used to say if you mix country and rap, you get crap. It's out there. It's really a thing now. And I was
It's
like,
working though. That
no,
crap is working.
saying that for a while. Yeah, for sure.
Well, I think what I love the most about some of the artists right now, more so than I've seen in history, is the genuine kind of the humbleness and the authenticity of them, of they are who they are. Like, I think that's what I love the most about Jelly Roll is that he's like, this is who I am. I've screwed up. I've messed up. Made all the mistakes. I've been the worst human on the planet. And just being who they are. And I really just feel, again, with a little bit about what you said about the current world, is that we need those like real people to tell us it's okay to be who you are because there's only one of you. And I know I've said this to you, even Liz, is that, you know what, the world needs you and they need the knowledge that you have and they need the genuine and humanness that you are. The world needs that. So you can't be hiding anymore, right? And you're doing really good about getting out there. So I adore you.
Let me just tell you, and thank you for touching on that because I think with age comes things that we wouldn't have perspective if we didn't sit back and go, oh my God, times are changing, times are different. And I still struggle with being 100% authentic because I'm afraid still of what people are going to think, how people are going to judge, and people are going to criticize. Because again, we live in a world which is more divided than inclusive. And I just think also social media hasn't made it very easy for us
Right.
to be 100% ourselves. I'm very cautious. And sometimes, like, I was on a different podcast. And after I did that, because they're like, just be you. And I was like, I don't know if you really want me to be just me because I got a lot to say and people may not like it. And then the next day, I woke up and I'm like, don't post that podcast. And they're like, why? Version of you. And I was like, because I don't know how people will accept it. But I have recently, we had a lot of family death in our family just within this year. And I
Mhm.
have just really thought it out, especially in the last week, is you know what? We really have to live by who we are. Like,
100%.
I can't worry about what people think about me going to too many concerts or traveling or the things that really bring joy and peace and those positive things to our life. That I'm like, okay, if somebody doesn't like it, it's not my problem, it's theirs. I can't other people feel.
100%, because here's the thing too, the things that you're worrying about are not even realistic. And the truth is your tribe will find you and you'll feel comfortable around those people. And the ones who don't like you, so what? Move on. They're just not your tribe. They're not your people. And like another person that I've been following that's a good friend of yours too, and that I adore, and I've just watched her like come into her own is it Sochi? So Sochi?
Oh my goodness, yes.
And her foodie board social media, and I love, love, love just watching her be who she is. And the same thing with you. I want to see all parts of you. I don't need to just see what you do for a living. That's great and important, and obviously that's how we pay our bills and gives us the resources to do the things we do. But I think what's more important is for people to be able to see all facets of who you are. I struggle with the same thing. I'm like, dude, nobody cares that I make bread and hanging out with my grandson. And people do. They're like, oh my gosh, I love seeing that. And I want to participate. And how can I join you in what you're doing? I think that there is a demand for knowing you, who you are better, and don't worry about the ones that aren't
Well,
interested.
I'm going to touch on this really quick because I think that we're all human and I think that we all have feelings and emotions, and especially us women carry things a little bit heavier, I would say. And and I'm guilty of this. I am so guilty of this. Is that sometimes we look at other people's lives and we all know that there's comparison out there. And sometimes when I get caught up in that moment of comparing myself to somebody else, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm not going to follow them anymore. I don't like that, or it rubs me the wrong way. Guess what? It's a little bit of jealousy. It's a little bit of
Mhm.
being this, which I think is completely healthy, but there's only so much of that you should be allowing yourself to
Agreed.
think about. It's okay, maybe that person, they're doing their life, and maybe for a second I need to unfollow them because that's rubbing me or hitting me the wrong way. And nothing wrong with them, it's my problem. I need
Right.
to focus the good things that are happening to me in my life, not the good things that are happening in other people's lives. That's good for them and it's healthy for them and it brings them joy. But when I really think about it, I have the issue. It's not the person that's doing good or doing better or doing this or doing that. It's very crazy how social media and has changed the scheme of how we look at ourselves, and we need to be kinder to ourselves, and we need to talk positive to ourselves, and we need to take the things that don't serve us out of our lives. So it's been a very, I think after COVID, I've just really learned a lot, and I'm still continuing to like evolve and be a better person and a human, but just we need to be aware of the things that don't serve us. And
One of my favorite lines from a song is the old Michael Jackson song. I'm starting with the man in the mirror.
oh, yes.
And I think about that song frequently. It's like you just where you brought up the issues in the mirror. And I just want to say as we wrap up today, Liz, I've known you for many years and I have seen you evolve into such an amazing, beautiful, dynamic woman who does nothing but give back to the community, and you always bring me joy. And so I'm super grateful to have you as a friend and honored to have you on my show today. And I can't wait for us to go hang out. I'm feeling like we had dinner the other night and I was so excited. I'm like, oh my gosh, and then you I like monopolized each other for a while. So I'm like, oh, we better go have some girl time somewhere. But
Thank
I
you.
was so excited to even have that dinner because I've sometimes we go through phases because of life where we're feeling a little secluded or burying our head in the sand, and to be able to get around people that just adore you no matter what you're going through and that are not there to judge or criticize. That's how I really felt with that group at dinner, and I was super grateful to be there. So
Thank you. I
thank
don't
you.
know how much you mean to me. In my darkest times, I reach out to you when I just need somebody that listens, and then somebody that can share your life experiences and give wonderful advice, both on the work side, but most personal side. So friends like you are hard to come by. So I appreciate you, and you know how much I love you. Thank you for having me.
No, absolutely. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on Real Estate Real World today, where, of course, we get to talk to all the cool people and, of course, a few of my favorites. So I'm thrilled to be able to talk to some of the incredible people that we have in our industry and beyond. And we have over 150 episodes on our show now. So be sure to share and write us a review if you get a quick moment to help push us up in the rankings. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on Real Estate Real World today. Go out and make it an amazing day. Thank you for joining us today on Real Estate Real World, where we talk with masters and leaders in the real estate industry and beyond on how we can raise the bar in our industry. Please subscribe over on iTunes, and while you're there, be sure to give us a review. Your reviews encourage us and help others to find our podcast for show notes and hot topics on what's going on right now in our real estate industry. Also, hop on over to www.realestaterealworld.com and add your name to our email to get early advance notice of upcoming podcasts. Thanks again for listening, and go out there and be a part of the elite masterclass and raising the bar on the real estate industry.